the YouTubes. All right, we're good to go. Thanks for listening to or watching the Upland Down Under Podcast. Tonight show is recording live on Thursday, 25th of July at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. A lot to get through tonight. On tonight's show, we catch up on the Upland market floors. Chapter 2 airdrop is now live. Official Upland GIFs. The Treasure Island buyer has been announced. A lot associated with that, of course. Sparklet Celebratory Block Explorer sale has been done. I've put that in there because that's going to be part of a wider conversation that's going to be had a bit later on. There's a new community meetup announced, and there's already been a hefty dose of airdrop shenanigans and drama kick off. The main topic for tonight's show is, of course, Pump It. Upland is now officially on board the cryptocoaster. I think it was 2 weeks ago we were saying, this is the calm before the storm, embrace the kind of downtime. Last week we said Upland is getting ready to full lick of the crypto. Well, yes, we are on board the crypto coaster in a big way. What could possibly go wrong or what could possibly go right? We've got the final Midtown Terrace sale price survey results in and QIPS on Midtown Terrace and the future of Totems. And of course, we'll take a look at another Upland community member spotlight, courtesy of the Dynamic Node Builders team. Tonight, we'll also be giving away at least 185,000 UPX after fees, 5 map assets, and 3 Genesis Node Midtown Terrace properties, which will take the 2024 giveaway tally to at least 1,575,000 UPX, 77 map assets, 3 vehicles, 5 properties, and a partridge in a pear tree, as I keep saying. All that and more on this, the Upland Down Under podcast. Now, I will say from the get-go, at the end of last week's show, my laptop completely lunched itself and has had to be sent back to get a hard drive replacement. So I am on one of my son's laptops. So normally, I give Swally the heads up on this. Normally, I have all of the links up ready to go and we just go through them as we go, but that's not the case. Otherwise, I'm going to melt the son's laptop. So it'll be a bit clunky and funky tonight as we kind of bumble our way through it, but bear with us. 2x speed if you're listening on the recording. Get used to that. Save yourself some time and skip ahead of some of the shenanigans. Now, I need to, speaking of that, and I'm not familiar with this laptop at all, so we'll bumble our way through. Apologies to our sponsor that they happen to be in the midst of that. But yes, tonight's show is again brought to you by Wanderer 1976 and his Upland Metaventure series, Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories. If you want to spruce up your Upland properties with some awesome virtual goods, you're in for a treat. From beach sunbeds to basketball backboards, Wanderer 1976 has it all to make your property stand out. Wander on in and grab a bargain at one of his showrooms located in LA, Queens, Chicago, Oakland, Birmingham, and Berlin. For a sneak peek at his 3D virtual presentation, check out his gallery on spatial.io. I believe he's got some competition there too. If you go in and follow a few directions, you win some kind of prize. And of course, if you want to chat directly, reach out to him in the Upland in-game chat at Wanderer1976. So what are you waiting for? Add a little uniqueness to your properties with Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories, your one-stop shop for all things virtual in Upland. As always, all sponsor links are in the description. Now, tonight we're giving away this little set down here, the beach sunbed and the beach ball. Giving away the first one of those. That's kind of showcased here as well. Beach sunbed, low mints 500 and a beach ball as well. So if you got your entry in for the weekly challenge last week, you're in for a shot to get the first of those. Now, I'm going to jump out of there, and I believe before I do anything else, we should do the disclaimer. Going to be very important for tonight's show.
Warning, this podcast is produced by Metaverse Ventures Entertainment, contains unsolicited and heavily biased opinions which are solely the views of the individuals involved.
Heavily biased opinions. What do you think about that one, Tony?
That's very, very appropriate for tonight, I think. Very appropriate. Maybe need to replay that at normal speed just to be safe.
Yes. If you're wondering how you can take part in the live streaming of this podcast, I dropped the StreamYard link to the live stream in the NBA server Thursday nights at about 6:45 p.m. AEST, which is 15 minutes before we go live. And you can, of course, just keep your eyes out on the associated YouTube feed. We've done the disclaimer. I mentioned my laptop issues. So with all that being said, let's get stuck in the Breaking Badly news and take a look at what's currently happening in the Upland markets. Swally, should we make mention about what we discussed before we kicked off as to some of the changes that will be happening in this?
No, I think we'll save that for next week. We've got enough to talk about. Obviously, I've got nothing prepared. What I did have prepared, obviously irrelevant now, given what's happened. So I think we just start fresh next week.
Oh, I didn't mean that, mate. I meant for the changes to the regular card that I'm bringing up. Yeah, the Swaley's working on a segment. That's going to be a good one. But we were kind of discussing before we got kicked off that. Well, take it away. Can you give us an insight on the drama and the time it takes to get this sorted?
Okay, well, if I'm not rushing, if I'm rushing, it can take about half an hour to go through each, because you got to click on each link and check each city for looking for jailed properties at the floor. And there's some cities that are obviously very, very notorious and can have 20, 30 or more properties at the floor, all in the jail. My thoughts on it are it's becoming a little bit too time consuming. It's probably not the squeeze is not worth the juice. Given that we're still on a downtrend, I mean, you can't argue that prices aren't dropping. So jailed properties aren't moving. So if the prices are dropping, the floor won't. If we just do a dump of the prices rather than go through each one manually, yes, the figures might be a little bit skewed, but I think the vast majority of it will still be fairly accurate. That where it'll become a problem is in the future, if the floors do start to rise again and get above all those jailed properties, then obviously the figures we spit out aren't going to move. So that's something you might need to address in the future. But I think for the short term, we might just have to put on there the little exclaim, what do you call it? Asterisk that
disclaimer. Yeah.
Disclaimer, that's one. That maybe some of these figures aren't 100% right, but people are going to do their own research anyway if they want to buy something. But it's just a point in which cities might be the best buys at the moment. And having said that, from last week's show, when you talked about London being one of the better buys, Elslake went and bought 3 properties on the back of that on his show.
Nice.
So it's just meant to be a pointer to get you looking in the right direction, like rather than trying to figure out which city should you start looking in if you're just looking to spend some USD or something.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, do your own research, and there's a heads up at the bottom too. The number one data hub in Upland is upxland.me. Fully appreciate all the work that they do. They're kind of limited in what they can do too. They can only share the data that they have access to. I'm sure they would love to be able to block out all of that.
I don't understand why they can't, though, because the jailed properties the jailed players do come up as jailed players. So there must be something they can do in the back end that can filter out the jailed properties and just exclude the owners of these properties from any data that they have. But again, I don't run the website. I don't understand the background, what's going on. Maybe there's got bigger problems to solve before they get to that one. I don't know.
All right. Now, I will say too, I believe I've just put the link to the live participants wheel entry in the comments for the YouTubes. Can somebody confirm that link is clickable, please? And I will say that the hashtag for tonight, you may have already guessed it, is Pampet. Pampet. However you want to spell that, that's up to you. All right. So let's have a look at here. What do we got? One interesting thing. What do you know? I went to do the 90-day averages, and Upland has, I'll show this. Upland has updated the website. We know they were working on this for a long time. For the life of me, I couldn't find any market tab. I tried using the old link, and I couldn't find it. Maybe it's there, and I'm just a complete nonce, but certainly not
links.
Anywhere.
Sorry to interrupt. Speaking of links, I don't think that is working. The one that you dumped into chat.
Damn it. All right. Well, that sucks. All right. Let me just see if I can just do just the straight link. That's weird, eh? Remember I said I was going to fix that up for this week. Clearly I didn't. I've been so freaking busy. All right. We'll put that in there. That's just a straight link. See if that shows up. If not, we'll work something out. So yes, no 90-day averages this week because of I couldn't find it. So we'll skip over that. Unique active wallets up 7.4%, was just under 53,400 last week. Now 57,650. No surprises given all the massive news that's come through that's been bumped up a little bit. Total unminted properties, that's a hefty amount there. 5,672 properties minted through the week. And total USD properties for sale down just 106. So not much action happening there. Floor markup percentages. What do we got? Anything really jumping out? I did have somebody DM'd me. Who was that? Apologies, I'm blanking on the name. Somebody told me that some of these cities did go under 19% as somebody was clearly cashing out, but themselves and others were gobbling them up lickety split. So, yeah, I mean, we got that much else to talk about tonight. I don't know, we're going to go through this in too many details. I'll share this card out here, there, and everywhere if you want to check it out yourself. Any big changes in the actual markets? Bermuda up 50.4% on the USD, was $4 last week, up to $6. But the USD markup is 27%, so that kind of makes sense. If somebody's been gobbling up all those low markup ones, good on you. Buenos Aires, that's always a bit janky there. Cleveland, meh. Las Vegas up 33.3% on the USD, was the $3 floor, now to $4. Again, 25%. That's probably an indication somebody's gobbling those up. And then a lot of just all over the place. Sao Paulo, 94.2%. Maybe that last week one might have been a bit janky there. And yeah, just a bit all over the place. So yeah, we'll make some changes to this, of course, as things develop. And like we kind of said, Swally is working on a different sort of segment that we might dive into as well. 6 week 6, it appears that form did work. All good, he said. Let me just copy that. Not clickable in phone, but you could copy it. All right, I'll drop it there too. Interesting. Well, apologies for that. One day I'll get my act together, but not today. All right, so where do we start with all this news? There's so much going on. Probably one of the biggest things, I guess we'll touch on this a little bit, was the Swally, you're licking your lips, mate. You're ready to dive in.
No, I'm licking my lips. I was thinking we should start with the small things, like there was a sale last night. Does anyone remember that?
Well, I'm going to go in on that too, so we might hold off on that. I've had some conversations about this airdrop series 2 on X for whatever reason, and I don't really know why, and I can't put my finger on it. I was really unmotivated with this one. I have been busy in real life. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I think last time you sort of knew what was going on. If you did something, you knew what points you end up with. This time it's just a mystery. From what I've seen of other people that have been doing some sort of content, they do it and they're like, I don't know if I'm doing well or bad or what's going on. And I'll be honest, like, yeah, I think I got the same points as you. So, but I'm like, yeah, like, it's obviously good because we want new players to come to the game, and hopefully that's what happens. So we should still do it, if not for the personal reward, just for the fact that hopefully we can help grow the game. Not that I have the sort of reach that will really do that, but some people might.
Well, that's interesting. If it's supposed to be all about reach and whatnot, you're saying that we've got the same points, but I think I'm coming up on 4,000 followers. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows how it's all gets figured out? I do know there is, again, quite a delay between you actually doing the thing and it showing up as having been done.
Actually, I've got 360 points. So I'm kicking your ass.
Yeah, I think I might have missed out on a couple of those early ones because, like I said, I was a bit slow to get kicked off. But yeah,
but I'm thinking maybe it is like I thought it was all about likes. So if you made a comment on something and someone else liked it, that would help your score or something like that. But I don't know if that's the case. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know what you need to do to get a better points or whatever. And to be honest, I'm just like, I really don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody in chat? Are you all about it? What's your points like? Is that a vibe that's common among anybody else besides Swally and myself? Like I said, I don't really know why, because any Sparklet that you can get that's free is good, and it's not that hard to do.
Well, that's not as worth as much as we thought it was.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, too soon.
No, it's all good, mate. Other news, of course. Well, I guess it's not. Oh, hang on. What do we got? Some chats kicking off here. Same 360 points. Everything. It's a mystery, but I'm trying everything. Yeah. I mean, I think it was. I won't put them on blast, but there's some conversations going around just as a general thing with the amount of Sparklet that's being airdropped, and people are predicting, well, hey, I'm going to get this much more Sparklet, so now I'm going to be able to produce these assets faster, so I can therefore drop the price. You need to keep in mind that this whole system is in flux. All of the spark hour requirements for building, construction, manufacturing, it's all going to be rejigged. So, yeah, not that it's financial or game strategy advice, but you really shouldn't be making any sort of decisions, or I don't think you should be making any changes or anything like that associated with anything to do with Sparklet until the dust has settled. You don't want to paint yourself into a corner.
A classic example of that, I was watching James UK's video, I think from the last day or two, and he was talking exactly that. I'm getting more Sparklet. It's going to take me less time to manufacture. I'm going to drop the prices as a result. And in my head, I'm saying, James, you obviously missed the announcement that they're going to rejig how much it's going to cost to manufacture stuff or build factories or build. So I'm sure he'll figure it out very soon. But that's just a classic example of what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's who I was referring to, the conversation we had on X. Yeah. But he wasn't the only one. That has been kicking around a bit as well.
There was only one announcement, and I guess a lot of people would have missed that announcement saying that they're going to rejig it all. So easy enough to do. I mean, we all do miss stuff. So
yeah. All right. A bit of fun too. Did you see this? Upland has now they've put out this official, what did Lisette say? Is it a GIF? Is it a GIF? It's not a GIF. Jiffy means soon, in a jiffy. I'll be there in a jiffy. Yeah, it's a GIF, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I'm with you, GIF, but it's cute.
This is the first time I've clicked on it. I was expecting.
I hope they're not, making these instead of creating some UI. That's all I'll say.
Yes, property management tools. Who needs those when you can have?
GIFs? Today I just sold a couple of. Well, not in the last week. I sold a couple of properties in Queens, and I hadn't realised that 2 of them were part of a collection, so I had to refill those collections. And my God, I was a nightmare. I was trying to find the right one, and that's why I'm not interested in these world ones. I just don't want to try and find properties to put in them. I just don't care enough.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you're somebody who knows what you're doing. So imagine people who they don't have that experience and they're not exactly sure what they're doing.
Well, if you don't have 2,000 properties, it's not a problem. I know it's first world problem, but if you had something like a manageable amount like 400 properties, it mightn't be so bad.
Yes. All right, so last week we got the news that Treasure Island had been sold, and there was a lot of speculation about who it might have been or what kind of conglomeration or partnership or whatever might have snapped it up. I don't think anybody was expecting what we got. What was your initial take on that one when you read that?
I just thought fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic news. We would discussed different exchanges in the past, and obviously I've said that Coinbase would be by far and away the best choice, knowing that it's fully legal and usable by Americans as well as the rest of the world. But to get on a Coinbase is not just as simple as we want to put our coin there. It doesn't work like that. So no doubt it'll end up there eventually, but unfortunately not straight off the bat. But these 4 exchanges, they're not crap exchanges. These are decent exchanges used by millions, if not more, people around the world. It's absolutely fantastic news. And the fact that I'm assuming they've just gone and forked out the 70 grand plus whatever it is to buy this package.
Or have they? Do you think there could have been
a deal made? Yeah. That crossed my mind. That crossed my mind whether it was part of the promotion or part of the. It's not for us to work out. The fact is, that it's to do with them. It's just all around good news. It is absolutely fantastic news. There's no other way of putting it than that. Is absolutely brilliant for the game.
Yeah, well, it is interesting. They do say BitGet has purchased Treasure Island, but it's one of those things. Like if you owe me $100 and I owe you $100, well, don't we just call it even? So yeah, I don't know how it went on. I personally, as somebody who has been around since San Francisco was the only city, and who is somebody who is San Francisco based. Don't forget, way back in the day, it was stated numerous times that anything that happens in Upland is going to happen first in San Francisco. It's the Genesis city. It's supposed to be the darling, the baby, whatever you want to call it. that kind of the baby got thrown out with the bathwater with that pretty early on. So it's nice to see something like this, something major like this coming back to the Genesis City. So yeah, I was pretty stoked with it.
Yeah.
And then of course, I guess we can dive into this now because it's part of the airdroppy conversation that we're going to go to next anyway. Now, maybe we should just do some general information. So yes, BitGet is a well-established exchange. It is big news. It's not some obscure little bloody exchange that's really dodgy to get KYC'd on, yada, yada, yada. Many people probably would have already had an account there. So if you did, good on you. You would have been set up ready to go. There was some big news associated with airdrops that are going to be including with it special rewards. A unique airdrop in BitGet will be dedicated to OG Sparklet hodlers. That's me. Eligible Upland players who have owned Sparklet prior to the token generation event will be rewarded through a special pool of 3.5 million Sparklet tokens. Oh, but there's more. These players will receive additional rewards from a pool of 50,000 worth of BitGet token to celebrate the partnership. Now, a unique airdrop in BitGet. Now, we're talking about this kind of this has been all the talk. There's a lot of people who are upset that they couldn't be a part of this for various reasons. We were just, I woke up this morning to a bunch of DMs saying, "How much did you get? How much did you get?" Well, I got freaking nothing. I didn't get a single Sparklet. And then it turns out there's a whole bunch of shenanigans that have gone on with it. Not ready to dive into that just yet, but maybe Swally, you can fill me in on this. It does say OG Sparklet holders, but it says in BitGet. So because I haven't
$20 that I think what I read or remember hearing, and again I don't have my head around all this properly, but if you were to purchase $20 worth of Sparklet, BitGet were going to give you $20 worth of their token as an airdrop type thing. That's what, and it was a maximum to $20, so or something along those lines. But I thought that's what it was referring to here. But and assuming, given that it's only just been launched, we are Sparklet's OG now. This as of this moment, not from 5 years ago or whenever Spark first released.
Yep. Is there two things being confused here? Is there one airdrop? Because when I had that UCN meeting and they outlined all of the details about the Spark airdrop, keep in mind it was 3 o'clock in the morning on a work day, so and my notes were scribbly as hell. But I came away from that with the impression that everybody in Upland who had purchased Spark was going to be airdropped a certain percentage. Everybody who had earned Spark was going to Sparklet. I'm going to confuse those two. They were going to be airdropped another certain percentage, but that was going to be significantly or somewhat lower than the people who bought it. So is there two things going on here? There's the airdrop with BitGet and there's this other airdrop. So the one that everybody got
upset about is the fact that they can't do anything to do with BitGet. Yeah. So they can't be part of the competition. They can't get the BitGet's also got a staking pool. Where you can buy the tokens and stake it there. I think it's only for like 10 days or something, and share in, I think, 7 million Sparklet tokens that are in that pool. Obviously, there's competitions. The Corvette that's not a Corvette, that might be a Corvette, is obviously going to be won by someone that does something to do with BitGet, like buying and transferring or something like that. So this is, where all the pain's coming from is that obviously certain people in the community can't participate because their country won't allow them to access BitGet.
All right.
But that's different to what the other shenanigans are of what happened last night.
Yeah, so let's focus on that one first, because you said that you were airdropped some. What'd you say? You purchased 0.1? That's the
I can tell you 100% with a shadow of a doubt, because this is something I've always sort of spooked about in a way, is out of my 60 Spark that I have, I purchased my first 0.1 when I was a brand new player, barely knew what was going on, only so I could start a build. I was part of the what's his name? Radished's node. So I wanted to start a build in that node, and he had a deal going where if you build it by this date, he'd pay for some money or something like this. Anyway, so I was all part of that. So I went and bought my first bit of Spark. So I bought 0.1, which cost me about, I think, $100 Australian or something like that. And that's the only Spark I've ever bought in the game. Every other bit of Spark I've had is through treasure hunting, weekly logins, competitions that we've entered and stuff like that. So knowing that 100% only bought the 0.1, I received 400 Sparklet or 0.4 Spark last night as the airdrop. So to me, that's a multiplier 4x of what I bought. So if that's what everyone's getting, happy days, I guess. If you bought a bunch of Spark, you're going to end up with a bunch more. And that's actually probably seems fair given the current price of Spark. It probably even almost, if it is a 4x, given the current price, it almost works out right. I would say.
Yeah. There's a lot of numbers being thrown around. Is it 10x what you purchased? Is it, nobody really knows at this stage, but what Swally got's a good indication. Now, I didn't get any, but I definitely purchased, I don't know the exact figure. It'd probably be around 10, if not more, over the years. So
I'm not going to be in front of you for much longer.
Well, who knows? I woke up to the DMs and I thought, you biddy, I'll open up Upland and see what I got. And, there's usually a delay in the pop-up to, hey, you got Sparklet. Nothing. Okay, so I hard closed the app, reloaded it, nothing again. So, okay, well, there's something going on. So jump over to General, and General's freaking on fire. And then I start looking through some of my other DMs, and there's just a whirlwind of shenanigans gone on with I mean, where do you go? So apparently there was a glitch in the system where people got the pop-up, claim your Sparklet, and they clicked it, and what do you know, it's there again. And they clicked it again, and they doubled up. And they thought, well, bugger it, I'll click it again, and they tripled up. And they kept clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking, which, famously, we are still in beta. It's part of the beta testing process that you find these glitches and you report those to Upland, so the betterment of everybody. What you don't frickin' do is immediately try and get that out of the game and secure it away on an exchange external so you can cash in on something that is clearly a glitch. That's a real dog act if you're playing with that. If you know my history in this game, you may say, well, you're the pot calling the kettle black as far as some of my earlier beta testing shenanigans that went on. But that's, you're talking February 2020. The game is in a very different state now to then. And this is actual financial stuff. You're not just playing with your own financials, because this is now tied to a crypto on an exchange that has a fiat monetary value equivalent. You're kind of screwing with everybody's finances at that stage. When I read that and when I saw some of the names that were being mentioned, obviously we're not going to put people on blast here, but I was taken aback really to think some of those people that are so established were doing that. I mean, I kind of liked the angle where they quickly ran and put up as many buildings as they could, thinking that they could hold on to that. But the people that went to the next level of trying to pull that out and secure that external to the game, that's a freaking dog act as far as I'm concerned.
I would like to think that, from what I understand, we're talking probably less than 30 players. I think that's what Upland announced, something along the lines of 30 players may have received more than they should have. At the end of the day, we all would have done the same thing. Had it popped up, and for you, say it popped up with 40 Spark, and you went happy days and collect, and then it popped up again. Like, you're not going to collect it. You're not going to go, I've already got it. I'm not going to do it again.
You might,
but
two or three times.
2 or 3 times, then you're going to go, well, something's not right. So look, I've got absolutely no problem whatsoever with people collecting 3, 4, 5, 10 times what they should have because of a glitch in the system. Obviously, what you're saying is if they then try to chuck that on MetaMask so they can sell it at a decentralized exchange, well, that's where the real low act comes in. And the good thing about Upland being absolutely 100% centralized is they can block a lot of this stuff if that person's account is worth a decent amount. And to be receiving a decent amount of Spark, your account had to be worth a decent amount, I think, to begin with. Full well they're just going to throw them in jail and freeze everything they've got until they sort that problem out. So I
Yeah.
don't think this issue is anywhere near as big as an issue as it could have been. I think Upland are on top of it, and that's one of the benefits of being a centralized exchange as opposed to not being. As much as Upland like to try and say they're going to head towards being decentralized, it's not going to happen. And this is an exact reason as to why it's not going to happen. And this is a good reason as to why it's a good thing. Now, obviously, Upland could use that power for evil if they wanted to as well, and that's the scary bit. So we would have that trust in Upland that they don't, or as Goldie put it, playing God. But we obviously trust Upland in the direction they're going, and if that's to stop these sort of problems from happening, all power to them. Like, mistakes are going to happen. Shit happens. It's just life. So there's obviously a glitch. They were on top of it pretty quick. Hopefully they'll get it sorted. Players like you will get the spark that they're supposed to get, and all's well in the world again, as opposed to having an Ethereum battle where we go split and go 2 different ways because of some glitch in the system.
Yeah, that's pretty much it's. Yeah, absolutely. Sparrow in chat has said, but the bridge to spark out, it needs to be staked for 30 days and then another 30 days cooldown to bridge it out to MetaMask. Yeah, this is a classic showcase of why something like that is so important. Because if these sort of situations happens, it gives them the time to kind of fix it up almost. Buellerman has followed up. He said 7 players got their bridge transaction tries rejected. 1.7 million, 1,500,000, 345,000, 300,000, 24,000, and 10,000. Not the airdrop spark. They can be used instant. Yeah. That's for the bridging. Yep.
For the bridge.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think it's anywhere near as big a deal as it could have been, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, if they were successful and that could be tracked to their account, you're talking. I mean, where would that go? You're talking about not being put in Alcatraz. You're talking about like full-on legal implications, surely.
Well, it could be, but I mean that's probably going to be very difficult given who and where they are in the world. Obviously, if everything's happening in one particular country, that makes it a little bit easier to deal with. But I mean, everything's KYC, so you should be able to track down who the player is. But I think this is nowhere near as big issue as it could have been. I think they put a lid on it really quickly. Obviously, that maybe they're getting all the ducks in a row before they get back to giving out the spark, like to yourself and anyone else that hasn't got it yet. But I think if there was some bad players that were trying to get out, there'd only be a handful. There wouldn't be any of those bigger, well-established players in the game. I think it was Shacklin was talking with Goldie on his show and explaining what happened with her and how she realized that something wasn't right and contacted Upland and I don't know if she was the first or not, but they got on it pretty quick. So I think the vast majority of players be like Shacklin and going, hang on, something's not quite right here. We need to look at this. What's going on? So you look at her. I think her current balance was like minus 43 spark or something. Or
I did see that on X. She shared that. So it appears that they've begun that you have purchased Sparklet or Spark airdrop situation. The glitch has become known, and then they've put the kibosh on it before myself or other people have received theirs. So I expect that will all come through at some stage. Now, we kind of talked about this a little bit before we got kicked off. I did. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out the last conversation that Elslack and Swally did as part of the Neutral Zone podcast. I think it's episode number 6. Swally outlined a whole bunch of stuff and talked it through that's kind of related to this. There was lots of good stuff in there. The point that I'm kind of bobbing off about in relation to that was decentralized versus centralized. I like how you kind of laid that all out there. It was a bit eye-opening to me to read X1's thing in Discord when I got up this morning that kind of addressed all of this. So he said, earlier today we encountered a glitch that impacted 45 players, enabling them to collect more Sparklet than intended. We've now resolved the issue with the following actions. Sparklet collection, all excess Sparklet that was claimed has been returned to the airdrop pool. Constructed buildings, any buildings constructed with the extra Sparklet have been demolished and the Sparklet has been returned. Bridge Sparklet, any excess Sparklet that was attempted to be bridged out has been recovered and returned to the airdrop pool. That kind of, I went, wow. Upland appears to have far more power to dig into accounts than I thought. Swally?
Well, you clearly haven't thought much about it if that's what you're thinking. Like,
reality check, slap.
well,
Yes.
what happens as soon as you start trying to multi-count and you get caught out? You're frozen. Like, you can't do anything. Upland have always had 100% power over our accounts. We are at their mercy. And ask Russell Envy what happens if you do something they're not happy with. Like, it just their power is the finger of God. Like, it really is in relation to this game, and it is what it is. Like, it's not a bad thing, and this is a perfect example as to why it can be a good thing, because they were able to, even if you were like, no, I'm not giving it back. Well, unless you manage to get it out into your MetaMask account, there's nothing you can do about stopping Upland from taking it back. If you got it onto your MetaMask account, well, then it's out in the open world, and that's the problem. If you're dumb enough to transfer it out and send it straight to BitGet, well, then chances are BitGet will freeze it on behalf of Upland, because it's also a centralized exchange. So if you honestly thought that Upland didn't have this sort of power, you clearly weren't thinking about their influence.
Don't throw me under the bus just yet, because
I don't mean you personally, just in general.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking around. But my kind of justification for that surprise was not so much recently, but through the history of Upland, there has been plenty of times where people's accounts have been hacked and properties stolen. Shout out to Scooby and the Mosswood node project. They had some very large properties that they had, set aside for MetaVentures and whatnot, all caught up in this whole hacking thing. And, it appears that Upland, maybe they did have the power to reclaim those properties and bring them back, but for whatever reason didn't choose to do so. So I know there was a whole convoluted process that Scooby went through trying to get those back, and the result of that ended up being that the properties just got removed from the map. So yeah, that was a bit bizarre for me that it seems that they had this power, but in those situations, previous situations, they never used it.
I think there's a big difference between I don't have the information about these other instances you're talking about. I haven't been around the game long enough, but I think there's one big difference between what you're talking about and what's just happened in the last day or so. Is we're talking about an individual's problem as opposed to an Upland problem. If Upland started reacting to everybody's complaint and foul play or something like that, it would open a can of worms that I'm sure they probably don't have the staff to deal with.
Yeah.
It's easier just to have a flat no to everybody, and if something big enough comes along that is a problem and they need to deal with it, well, then maybe they will. But I think if you started using that power all the time, then it just where do you draw the line?
Yeah, well, the hand has definitely been shown.
I mean, at the end of the day, we need to be responsible for our own accounts and making sure we don't get hacked. And I mean, if you're in the crypto world, that's not a new thing. I mean, crypto is rifled, unfortunately, with bad players. And yes, we're a crypto game. Upland, the same as a centralized exchange, can have the power to freeze, take whatever they want, all that sort of stuff. Always have, always will. But if you get hacked because you let someone else get access to your account because you gave them the passcode or something like that, well, that's more of a you problem than a them problem.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that was one of the major things. There was something that kind of preempted that though, which it was. I wouldn't say it was mind blowing, but it was certainly eye opening to see the level of woe is me kind of posts and the atmosphere that was created by people in parts of the world that weren't able to register for this exchange and some of the other exchanges. Again, you went over that extensively with Elslack as part of your chat with him. I really liked the breakdown that if you haven't checked it out, it's worth a listen, because Swally kind of breaks it down where if you think of the globe as kind of 3 major time zones, well, we know for the longest time that Upland has utterly pandered to the Pacific time zone and that part of the world. It's a feature that I have been raising, complaining, whining about since before Discord, since on Telegram, since the very earliest sales and events that were happening over there. I remember clearly saying things like, look, you're trying to be a global game, because Metaverse wasn't bandied around as a term back then. This is supposed to be a global game. You're going to have to start working to accommodate your global audience. The sooner you do that, the better. It's better to grow up doing these sort of things as part of the establishment. That was my take on it. What are we, 5 years on? And if you've been playing this game for 5 years, like I have, for those 5 years, you have been utterly excluded from just about everything. People will say, well, you're not excluded. Yeah, okay, technically I can get up at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. on a workday and get involved in all of these things. Is that a realistic proposal? Well, for me it is, because I'm a freaking lunatic and I love this game, so I'm willing to do that. Most people in the mainstream aren't going to do that. What was really eye-opening to me was when the Tokyo release. I couldn't believe that was done in the PT time zone. That was I kind of washed my hands with the whole thing after that. I was like, well, I'm not even going to bother trying to say anything or do anything about this. It was justified at the time. Well, this is a release that's not for new players. That's why we're not advertising. That's why it's not at the blah, blah, blah. And they have experimented before at doing a couple of city releases at a different time zone. And yeah, people, the American friends amongst us complained about it at the time. But I could not believe the amount of whinging and whining and woe is me and it's not fair. Oh, shut the hell up. that was my take on it.
I think the simple little fact or stat you can pull out is America has 340 million people, give or take 1 or 2. And the world is 7.9 billion people. If we want this game to grow, yes, there's a lot of growth that can happen in the US, but if we want this game to grow, there's a hell of a lot more people outside the US than there are inside the US who also have money and interest and can contribute to the game. Not saying that we need to ignore the US, because they're obviously a very big part of the game at the moment, but this, I don't want to get too rolled up here, but look, it sucks that the main point, I guess I'll make one main point about this is, look, absolutely sucks that the US can't participate in BitGet or the other exchanges because, for whatever reasons, their government have gone, no, we're not letting you spend your money the way you want to spend your money.
It's not Upland's fault. Yep.
Okay, it's not Upland's fault that you can't use BitGet. And I'm telling you now, it's not BitGet's fault you can't use BitGet. Because I'm telling you now, BitGet would more than happily have your business and let you trade your coins on their exchange. The only people that are stopping you, or the only entity that's stopping you from doing that, is the US government. And then obviously a few other governments around the world, because it's not just the US. But we're talking about a couple of the biggest exchanges in the world. The potential for this, and there's no guarantee with anything, but the potential for this and where it could take Upland is absolutely mind-blowing. But the head in the sand attitude of some people that are going, well, I can't participate in this, so this sucks, it's bullshit, why are we being excluded? Like, that's the same. The rest of the world have been putting up with this for 5 years. Like, yeah, you can say, oh, I have the ability, if I really wanted to, I could go to G Week every year. Of course I could. If I wanted to spend, for the missus and I, $10,000+, try and work out a time. Upland don't release the dates until like weeks beforehand, so you got to try and do all this on a few weeks' notice. Like, yeah, it's possible. I could go there, but is it feasible? Absolutely not. Now, some players might be in a position where they can do that, but it's not logistically feasible. How many of those people that do go to G Week every year would go to G Week if it was in Sydney next year? And they would say the exact same things that we're saying about it now. So whilst it absolutely sucks that some people are being excluded, I wish that wasn't the case. I really do, because I want, and I think we all want, everyone to be able to participate in everything. But it's just the fact of the world that it's not going to be the case no matter what happens. There's always somehow, somewhere, some people are going to miss out. Unfortunately,
but they don't have to.
Well, they don't. I mean, like, people are saying, but they won't be able to buy things. Like, I said on the Slack show, you'll always be able to buy the coins and exchange your coins on a decentralized exchange, because the government can't stop you from doing that. yes, you might miss out on some of the bit get promos and gifts and stuff like that that's going on. Yeah, absolutely sucks. It is what it is, though. Like,
Yeah,
there's no.
Yeah, I mean, I sound like I'm just being a prick, but I'm not coming from a place where sucked in, I can get this and you can't. I can put it, I'm not touching any of this crypto stuff on the exchanges. I'm not going near it with a bar of soap. I've got my own kind of tax implications I'm juggling with the USD I pulled out this year. So I'm not willing to open that can of worms. That's not what it's about. It's about the vibe. It's about the atmosphere. One of the things you talked about in your chat with our Slack, which I was slapping my head, I'm like, if you have, like you said, if you have 300 block explorers to sell, and what do you know? What did we have at 3 a.m. this morning? What was that?
More block explorers.
Oh, and what time was that? What time were they for sale?
At 3 a.m.
Freaking
I had to wait. Oh, no, 2 a.m. 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Oh, yeah. All right.
I had to wait till
So,
I had to get up at 1 a.m. to find out what time, and then I was like 700th in line. I'm like, yeah, even though I knew I'd probably get one, even being 700 in line, given it's a USD sale, I was like,
yeah,
I'll go back to sleep.
Yeah. And this is why I was slapping my head when you were outlining your kind of take on this. Was I've been saying this for literally years and years and years and years. If you've got 300 for sale, split it up into different time zones. Make it so you can only register for one. Make it more fair. It's just this whole process of I have to get up at 2 a.m. to see where I'm in the line, to see if it was worth me getting up at 2 a.m. It's freaking ridiculous. So if you're crying that you can't get involved in this bit get, it just shows a complete lack of self-reflection on what everybody else outside of that situation deals with constantly with everything. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like the amount of whining and complaining that was going on, it was. I mean, I used to have a show all about whining, and I still do whine a lot. But I mean, come on, bit of self-reflection, people. Jeez.
Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, but I've just the bit I'm upset the most about is this is such massive news, massive development. Potential is huge. I'm so excited the future of Upland, and it's all being overshadowed because some people can't access, which again, it sucks. I absolutely agree. It absolutely sucks. But all of this is being overshadowed because, well, that's pointless. I can't do it. So what's the point of doing it? Type attitude. And just, I mean, yeah, it sucks. But imagine if just 0.01% of the world started playing Upland out of 7.9 billion, 0.01% of that started playing Upland. That's a crap ton of people. I mean,
yeah, and it's a chicken and an egg situation. If you're constantly pandering to the one time zone, is it any wonder that there's not many people involved from other time zones? I mean, is it a surprise?
I don't know.
No.
So, but as I was saying on the show, I mean, to split up into these sort of sales, all that sort of stuff, simple as to split that up into 3 different sales and have 3 time zones, almost like I said, like the American time zone, the European time zone, and the Australasian time zone. And even then, like the Americans might be at work during the day, so they might want to do the later one that's more suitable to them because in the evening or at night or something like that, and vice versa. Like, I think Europeans would probably prefer the Australian time zone if they're at work or something. Like it gives people options and choices, so not just pampering to those different and trying to best serve the globe as a whole. I don't know. I don't have a solution for city releases unless we do 3 consecutive city releases in a day. But that's a different kettle of fish. We'll just take small battles at a time rather than go for the whole war.
Yeah, and Hugh Yang's mentioned that in chat as well. He said, working from 9 to 5, I'd rather get up at 2 a.m. than being not able to participate at all should city releases be in the daytime, which, yep, that's fair enough. But
and you say that, and
it could say absolutely
that until you're doing it 2, 3, 4 nights in a row, because I mean we don't have stress test releases anymore, but for a little while there it was day after, like night after night, 3, 4 times a week we're having to get up at some stupid hour to participate.
Yep.
Again, it's our choice. I'm not saying we have the option to continue sleeping, obviously, but the same deal. Like I saw Goldie say he missed out on one of the block explorers a few sales ago because it was in the middle of the day and he couldn't make it. And people are busy during the day as much as they are at night. I mean, Elslack's always missing out on stuff because he's at work. He can't have his phone on because he works in a jail.
Yep. Same with me. I can't. But yeah, they're at 2 a.m. But yeah, I mean, It could be done if there was an incentive or if there was any desire for it to be done. City releases could be done, staggered releases. It gets a bit tricky on how you divvy up neighborhoods or whatever, but there's ways and means about doing these things. But the history shows shows us that there is zero interest, zero focus to even experiment. Everything is just tied to that one time zone.
Like I said,
It has been explained previously, like it's because they're a small team and that's their time zone.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
I get that. I appreciate that, but this can't go on forever. If we want mass adoption, it can't be just pigeonholed into the one time zone and pandered to the one time zone.
And that is an argument I heard back with my 3 time zone theory is, well, then you need to have people working at the 3 different times when these things are released. And I would have thought most of these, don't worry about the city releases, let's just forget about them for a second and focus on the other stuff that we can do, like the sales. Let's just get that right and see if we can't split that into 3 time zones. Surely that's automated enough that they don't need staff there, or at least most of the staff there. Let's cross the bridge of city releases and having different ones down the track. I mean, who knows where the game's going to go? Maybe we have that many people and that many cities being released in the future that we can do something like that. Maybe release a different city, a different time zone. Maybe we can go back to what they tried to do with the very first international city, where they released it at 9 a.m. local time. Maybe we can start doing that for all. I mean, and then I think if that was the case, whichever city is released at 9 a.m. their local time, I think everybody would be cool with it.
Yes, absolutely. It's just one of those things, isn't it? I mean, I just, as a general overview, I just could not believe the lack of self-reflection. It was just mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. So yes, I have just dropped the live participants heads up link in the YouTubes and in StreamYard. I believe it's not clickable. You have to copy and paste it, and the hashtag for that is pamp it up. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I think we've said what we wanted to say there, right? Yeah. I mean, it won't be the end of it. It's going to continue. There are other opportunities already showing up now with Uniswap and whatnot, and we'll get to all that here in a minute. On some more positive news, we did have Upland has announced that there is another meetup on the way, organised by Nosif and the Frupland crew. Nosif's a great bloke. They do a lot of cool stuff over there with Frupland as well. They fellow broadcasters as well. That's all happening on Monday, July 29th, 2024 at 5 p.m. local time at some bar that I'm not even going to try and pronounce. So if you're in the Paris area and want to meet up, make sure you follow up on all of that. Maybe Swiley, you can speak to that. You've been to one of these meetups.
I have been to one of these meetups. Good time. I enjoyed it. It's not often you get to chat with like the big wigs and I sat with Dirk for quite a bit and had a bit of a chat, and obviously gave absolutely nothing away. And that's more than 12 months ago now. And some of the stuff that I went, I reckon this is where Upland's heading, and he just sort of sit there with a smile and go, oh, really interesting. And then nothing even remotely that I predicted would happened. But he certainly gave absolutely nothing away. But it's still, I mean, how often do you get to have a chat with someone so influential in the game as that? So, and they're both going to be there from what I read. So not just Dirk, it was only Dirk at the first London one. If I was in France, I'd definitely head down there and attend. If I'd probably even head over from England if I was. I mean, it's not that far. When you're used to traveling around Australia, trip from England to France isn't really that far. So, but it was a good time. I enjoyed it. I was probably the only thing that I was disappointed about was London meetup, first one. I think it was the first official Upland meetup outside of America, and there was only like 20 people there, which was, I mean, it was still a fantastic time. I would have liked to have seen a lot more people. I know not everyone has commitments and can't always make stuff. And having said that, though, there was 20 people there, and there's people I've since learnt that were there that night that I wasn't even had a clue. Like Toss Ed being one of them. Someone else I was talking to the other day was also there, and I didn't have a clue that night. So just because even with only 20, you still couldn't get around and meet everybody in a couple of hours and then remember them all. But it was still absolutely very good night.
Right. Yes, and of course, Paris. We know that Paris is looming. Nothing on Paris yet. Brabant's made the prediction next week. There's
My theory is
there's
looking less
pros
and less
and
likely, isn't it?
yeah, I
I'm,
mean, there's pros and cons of why it should be sooner rather than later. But there's one
I'm,
thing when I was listening to you. Well, sorry, finish your thought before I get off.
I was saying I'm still not moving away from the fact that I don't think it's going to be released during the Olympics, which has basically been my stance
Yep.
the whole time. I mean, the fact that they're doing a meetup doesn't mean they're releasing the city, but I mean, we know it's coming.
Yep.
So there's no ifs, ands, or buts that it's coming. When's the question? And I've said from the get-go, I don't think it's in conjunction with the Olympics, but I'll stand to be corrected. Maybe next week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's don't forget too, like when I was listening to you and Elslake kind of discuss it, Upland has a history of before a major event like that, which makes perfect business sense, and my hat's off to them.
A sale.
They love to do sales, kind of big sales and things like that.
Well, it used to be the vehicles, wasn't it?
Expansions, yeah.
There was always when the vehicle release happened, the city was coming, but no one's buying vehicles anymore. So I guess we're going to find other ways.
Yeah, I'll just interject to say somebody's trying to get into the StreamYard. I've got a pop up to say that they're trying to get in, but StreamYard's full. I'm not going to pay any money so that you can get in. So if you want to get involved, please jump on over to the YouTubes. We're live over there as well. Apologies, but yeah, we're forking out enough cash. So yeah, I would expect if we don't get a different city expansion, maybe a kind of some bizarre city release that nobody's expecting, or something that's going to bleed the funds out before we get the big Paris announcement. That seems to be the way things kind of play out
that was
recently.
what I was saying, but again, we'll just they were never going to release a city during the non-season. If that makes sense. Yep. It was always going to be within a season, which has to be and if it's going to be in conjunction with the Olympic Games, it has to be pretty much next week. So the predictions of next week, may be smack bang on the money. And I guess this time next week, we'll know if Swally was right or not.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think so. I think we're going to see something else major. But it'll probably be something that we didn't even think of, boats or freaking something. Who knows?
Well, that was my whole argument. Was every time we all think it's going to be something, they take an about turn and it's something entirely different. It's always been the case. I don't think the community's ever got it right. And maybe if the community did get it right, they then go, well, fuck yes, we'll swap it. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. We'll swap it and make it something different just to screw with you. I'm not convinced that that's not going on as well.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we're going to kind of, I was going to say switch gears a bit, but I think we've covered all of the, the airdrop shenanigans that went on and all of that sort of the stuff. So we're going to skip on over to the main topic for the show. Pampet, Ace asked, what does that mean? That's old kind of crypto meme, that one. If you see the thumbnail for this show, if you know who that bloke is, you would get the meme. If not, maybe check it out on YouTube. It's just a bit of fun. Basically, like HODL, it's just one of those things. So yes, Upland is now officially on board the cryptocoaster. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go right? We've kind of mentioned it briefly that the exchanges that it did land on, to be honest, I wasn't expecting straight out the gate to be, well, first of all, as many exchanges and as many well-known exchanges. So I was pleasantly surprised with that one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes.
Again, I'm not American, so I don't know what exchanges they do have access to. Obviously, Coinbase is one of them, and the main one. I know there was a couple of others they used to use. What's that Robinhood one? That might have been an option as well.
Yep.
But half of them, I think, collapsed after the last bull run. So I don't think there's a lot of choices left with decent exchanges that are US based. But that's a lot to do with the fact that the US are forcing a lot of them out. The BitGet and these aren't all no-name exchanges. These are bloody good exchanges. Okay, they're not Binance, they're not Coinbase, but they're right up there. They're probably the next level. Way better than I expected Upland to be able to nail straight out of the gate. I keep saying, I think this is absolutely brilliant effing news, and I nearly fell over when I saw it. I was like, wow, gives me a bit of a chill because for the first time, I'm actually thinking, you know what, this really could go somewhere. I mean, we're in the crypto world now, so we're at the mercy of crypto, and we're going to have the roller coaster ride of, you know, things dropping 99% because that's what crypto does. But then we also have the chance that things can 100x. I'm not saying Upland will, but they could. So we're in that roller coaster. We all voted for it, so it is what it is. So if you don't like it, well, then if crypto's not for you, well, then bad luck. But this is absolutely fantastic news, and that's why it's sad it's being overshadowed by a few people that are just not looking at the bigger picture.
Yes. I've got a Gate.io account from, I think that's probably as early as the 2018 bloody ICO shenanigans and whatnot. So, as I kind of mentioned previously, I'm not willing to dust that off and play with KYC or do any of that sort of stuff at this stage. I'm happily sitting on the sidelines, eating my popcorn with glee. But that wasn't the only one that they. Obviously, the American people, and it wasn't just the Americans. There's a few other countries can't get involved with that, which is fair enough. But that wasn't all. They also now, Sparklet is also now live on the Uniswap DEX. As far as I'm aware, everybody can use that, right?
Yeah, and that was the given. Like when they first announced it, this was, and it was on an Ethereum coin.
Yeah.
It was always, you're always going to have it on Uniswap. There was never ever going to be any questions other than that because that's exactly what it's there for. It's anyone and everyone can come and go from this place, regardless of who you are. Which is why maybe not so much on the Uniswap with all the meme coins and all the junk coins and stuff like that, because Ethereum's gas fees are too high. But like BNB and stuff like that, which, you know, you got your pancake swaps, which is the BNB version of it, just rifled with bad stuff because there's nothing to stop anybody from putting anything on there that you want. So you're always going to be able to have Sparklet on decentralized exchanges. So, I mean, governments around the world can block every single exchange. It's still not going to stop us from trading Sparklet with each other. It doesn't matter how much any and every government around the world wants to block it. We can still use exchanges like this, and we always will be, because there's nothing they can do to stop it.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I mean, if you're one of the people that couldn't get involved in one of those other exchanges and you were kind of upset that you couldn't take part in some of the giveaways that are part of this, well, here it is here on the DEX, you know. And this is very generous. The top 288 players who bridge the most net Sparklet into Upland will each be rewarded with a unique Treasure Island property, which is going to be distinct from those offered through BitGet. So there's that. The top 5 players who stake the most Sparklet will each win a coveted S1E car. The staked Sparklet must come from NetBridge. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there is some stuff you can get on.
Is that an edit to the original post? Like, is that an add-on or something like that? I don't remember seeing that originally. I mean, I could stand corrected. I didn't read it initially, and I know they do update these posts from time to time with further information and stuff like that. I just don't remember hearing that initially. And again, that's part of my belief that Upland will make everybody whole anyway. If you miss out on certain things, it'll make up for it in other areas. And yeah, so there's still some stuff you're going to miss out on BitGet if you can't access BitGet, but that goes a long way towards trying to make people whole that can't. I mean, there's still, you can go to Uniswap, buy as much as you want and bring it in and still be eligible for some pretty decent prizes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the points I forgot to touch on too when we were looking at those Block Explorer sales as part of the conversation of, woe is me, I can't get involved. Some of that has been tied to, yeah, that's all well and good that you have to get up at 2 a.m. or whatnot. But we're talking now about finances. This is impacting on people's finances. And I was thinking to myself, are you living under a rock? Everything that's in Upland can be sold. Like all of these Block Explorers, these super rare drops and these super exclusive sales that people in other time zones, you know, the realism of being involved in that is very low. Well, that's all there's financial undertones to all of that. So, you know, you can't really pull out that card. That's kind of pathetic. Yes. All right. So we do know that Upland now has Sparklet on the exchanges. There is on X, there is a fair bit of doom and gloom about the price action that's going on immediately. We've talked about this for months leading up to this. Every other bloody crypto follows the same sort of pattern. We knew this was going to happen. Upland knew this was going to happen, which is why they've done, set up this preemptive airdrop to give people more Sparklet, especially for the people that bought. The only thing that kind of surprised me about it was the starting price. What did you think about that?
I don't know how much control Upland have over the starting price. I don't think, if any. I don't know how that's figured with any coin. I will say one thing: I prefer to see a coin that starts low and go high than vice versa. But like that one actually shows. So if you look at the chart on it's the other way around. So it started off at 2 cents or something, and obviously very quickly shot up to about 15 cents, and then it sort of hovered around that 10 cents for a very long time. I don't know, but again, we're focusing on something that is so insignificant that why? Like the starting price, who cares what the starting price is? Like, if you're worried about the starting price and upset by it right now, like you're doing it wrong. Like if the price is lower than what, if your price is lower than what you expect it, then buy some. If it's higher than what you expect it, then sell some. It's simple maths. Like if you believe in Upland and believe in the future, like I said about the property prices, Sparklet's no different. We've all got in our heads what we think Sparklet should be worth. 46 cents a coin, because that's what everyone's been paying for it for all these years. But it was never going to be that, because not all the Sparklet in circulation was paid for. So, and I'm a classic example of that. So it was never going to come out at 46 cents. I said that from day one. It was always going to be well under that. So people that were hoping to sell some, yeah, you might sell some, but you're going to sell at a fair loss if you're thinking 46 cents is break even. Effectively, what people are doing, or what's happened, is everyone that's bought Sparklet has bought at the top of the market. We are now at the bottom of the market. So if you're selling us, you're doing it wrong. Doing it.
Well, that's a bit cool.
So, I mean, it can't go much lower than 10 cents. I mean, it can go down obviously 1, 2, 3 cents or whatever. If it does, happy days, I'm buying more. As simple as that. Like, I love where the game's going. I'm not scared at all. If it goes on 1 cent, honey, we're taking out another mortgage. Like, so that's the. So that looks better than. Yeah, so that's better than starting high and coming down low. It looks looking like it's just being done.
Gate higher.
And it doesn't matter what the starting price is, because the market's going to very quickly settle where the market settles. Like, it's no one can control what the price is. It's just people buying and selling. And if the demand's there, the price is going to go up. If there's no demand, the price is going to go down. There is no worrying about the price or whatever. It's just, it is what it is. Like, either if you don't like it, do something else.
Yes. I did realise I just scrolled through the other exchanges, and I forgot to share screen as I was jumping through them. But all the charts are exactly the same as the exchange charts. So obviously CoinMarketCap only captures the general overview. But yeah, I was surprised that it started out so low. That was
again, I don't know why it starts there, and it instantly jumps around. Like, I was watching it live because it was about 11 o'clock our time, and it instantly, it wasn't like it sat there for a while and you could have bought some at 2 cents for ages or whatever. That wasn't the case at all. It instantly jumped up to 15 cents. I even think I tried to put a pre-order in, and some people did. I don't know how it works, and I'm not that savvy on it. And the first time I'd used BitGet myself. But so I don't know. People were lucky enough to be able to buy it at 2 cents, or what the story is. I don't think they could, but I don't know what, if people weren't happy about the starting price. Like, what would you prefer the starting price to have been? Like $5, like, and then just have this big candle that comes all the way back down to 10 cents. Like, what?
What's the optics on that?
It's so the starting price is so insignificant to the bigger picture. I'm surprised that anyone's ever mentioned it.
Yes, and if you look at the volumes, the 24-hour volumes, obviously it hasn't been 24 hours yet, but you're not talking massive figures. Like, what do we got? HTX 5,500. I thought there was one there. Maybe this has jumped around a bit. I thought I was looking at one before that was 4,000. But yeah, it's not. This is it's a drop in a bucket of what's going to happen. So yeah, it's going to be.
I agree with you. 100%
absolutely fascinating.
I'd rather see green candles than red candles on the screen, 100%. And in fact, if you look at when you bring up the charts, like on CoinGecko and stuff, it actually says it was up 300% or something. I mean, that's a better advertisement. It's down 95%. Like, not that the result's the same. It's still 10 cents either way, but you know, Again, it's so insignificant. Let's move on.
Yes, where's it going to go? It's the cryptocoaster. It's now forever tied to Bitcoin and what else happens in the wider markets. I think it was Laban give me a bit of not a reality check, but now I will just completely butcher what he said, but basically it was, and kind of like what you're saying, that part is mildly interesting, but what we want to see from this is more active users. That's going to be the real metric that showcases whether this was a good move or not. Not the bloody Sparklet price, because like we said at the start of the show, all of the Sparklet hours and what Sparklet's used for the utility, that's all going to be rejigged. When they're going to do that, who knows? Is it going to be rejigged once? Is it something they're going to constantly monitor and update? Who knows? It has to be about the more mainstream attention, more active users. It's something we've been saying for the longest time. We need more exposure. We need more users. I don't necessarily think it's a make or break moment, but it definitely, to make a move like this, we want to see that there's some response.
Yeah, well, obviously we're definitely on the roller coaster road now. Roller coaster ride now. Sorry, I was reading something, so I lost my train of thought a little bit.
You're right. Yeah, we want more active users. That's going to be the real. For me personally, that's going to be the real metric of
100%.
this involvement to move to crypto.
That's what I was going to say. Is there anybody that plays Upland on any sort of regular basis that thinks that Sandbox or Decentraland is a better game?
Well,
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying, does anyone?
Yeah.
But what recognition does Upland get compared to those two games?
Yeah,
like absolutely none. And now this will put them on the same page as those guys. Yep. So when you start looking at the Metaverse coins and the game coins and stuff like that, Upland will now be in the conversation. And now it's up to Upland to take that ball and run with it and kick goals. But our trust is in them to do that. And obviously we're here to help other players come along and onboard them. I've said before, I'd like to see some sort of mentoring system where players can get rewarded for mentoring new players into the game. I know there's all the different challenges and missions and stuff like that help teach you the game. Plus, there's a crap load of content on YouTube now that can help people learn how to do certain things, which wasn't around even as much when I first started alone. That was 2 years after you started. So obviously you had nothing. But yeah, I think a mentor program where players can get rewarded, those who have the time and can have a chat, and like someone for a player can go directly to, like a brand new player, and go, right, this is my problem. How do I solve this? That can get some decent advice that they can take on board and use, rather than just take the word of, let's face it, most people in Discord are, say the vast majority, if not everyone in Discord is good, and you can get some good answers, but not all new players are on Discord. So it might have to be all done in game and stuff like that. And chatting to someone that you don't know when you don't know what's going on, mentoring program would be a great way to solve that. But this is all about, not about the price of the coin. It's all about the growth of the game. And this is absolutely massive step in the right direction for that. So that's why I keep saying the price is irrelevant. Who cares what the price is?
Yeah, I mean, like a vetting process as part of that, as having, like, say, key community kind of leaders or whatever. Absolutely. And don't forget, a rising tide lifts all boats or lifts all the turds, depending on which way you want to look at it.
And that's the bigger picture view of it, isn't it? So, I mean, if we've got 10, 20,000 active users now, imagine if you just 5x that. And we have 100,000 daily active. Like, think how different the game is today if we just had 100,000 people instead of 10, 20,000 people every day. Like, and that's still nothing. That's still such a insignificant number of people for the whole wide world that that we've got to aim for the stars.
Yeah, I mean, there is a percentage of the Upland community that has never had anything to do with crypto and has no crypto background whatsoever. You can imagine those people that are seeing what's happened. If you were somebody that had purchased Spark and you're seeing what's happening on the exchanges now and what's more than likely going to happen, you can imagine that's going to set in the FUD and the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt and all of that sort of stuff. Just go and have a look at any of the crypto coins and scroll out a bit. It's just
Horrifying.
it's the way she goes.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
And again, if that's not something that you can stomach, then find something else to do with your time, because Upland, I know people have tried to argue with me in the past that Upland's not a crypto game. 100% bullshit. It is a crypto game, and we've absolute unarguable evidence now. Always was. Everything's on the blockchain. Everything's an NFT. Everything has always been a crypto game. You don't need to know crypto, obviously, to play Upland, because you don't need to go in those, these decentralized exchanges or anything like that. You don't need to learn all this MetaMask stuff. You can just play the game and not even be aware that it is a crypto game. You don't have to. But if the fact that it's now a crypto coin worries you, then find something else to do with your time.
Well, it's the classic: don't invest more than you're willing to lose.
100%.
What has been interesting is it's not even in many cases, the people that are complaining the loudest are people who didn't even buy Spark. They're the ones who, of course, there's a time factor, there's a money factor. They've earned it through grinding. You're a classic example of that. I don't know if she's still on the call. Mesme I was kind of discussing this a little bit with Mesme in DMs before we got kicked off, and she did give me the okay to put this through, because I said, it's a great perspective. She said her opinion on it is that she purchased $40 worth of Spark approximately, and now she currently has 13,500. So, it's you may have earned or ground your way up to having, like, what have you got, Swiley? You had the kind of same perspective. What do you got? 60 Spark, you bought 0.1. How much is that Spark worth? If you were to say, look, I don't like the state of Upland, yada yada yada, or you got bills coming up and you wanted to cash out, well, it's not free money because you've invested time,
and money. I did invest money. Obviously, you needed web and all that sort of stuff, but up until now, selling a Spark wasn't an option. You could rent it, but the rental prices have been shit for so long. But now, if you want out, and this is the issue that I was saying with you when we're talking about when it's going to get released, is unfortunately there's been a lot of players that have left the game, have sold out, cashed out, left, and the only thing they couldn't sell was their Spark. Well, guess what? Now they can. So the price was never going to go up. And I think these sort of players don't care that it's only worth 5, 10, 15 cents at the moment. They'll just take what they can and piss off. So once the dust settles, and it might take a few months for the dust to settle, Spark will find its floor. Where that is, none of us will know until we look back and go, oh, there it was back there, and we should have bought more back then instead of whinging about how low it was. So the future is so bright for Upland and Sparklet. It's amazing. I've never been so excited about a crypto coin, and I own a reasonable amount of crypto. I'm not a millionaire by any sense of the imagination, but I own a decent amount, and I've put a fair bit of time and effort over the last few years into it. And for a small amount of money, the potential here, and I'm not suggesting that anyone should go out and race out and buy a Spark or anything like that, or do your own thing, but can Spark 10x from its low point? Yeah, I think that's almost a shoo-in. Can it 20 or 30x? Very possible. Can it 100x? Stranger things have happened. I'm certainly not putting my putting all my bank on or anything like that, but could it go as low as 5 cents and 100x from there up to, what's that, $50? Or possibly. I certainly wouldn't bet my life on it, but no one will be complaining about it then, will they? If it did, unless you wanted to buy some.
No. Yeah, I don't know if it was in DM or on X. I was talking about this with somebody, and this has only just happened. I mean, look at some of the meme coins that have gone out there, and some of the just bonkers numbers that gets thrown out with that.
Millions.
That's all hypeware. There's nothing behind that. There's no foundation. Like, the speculators are going to speculate. Speculators could get hold of this thing and do wild things with it, but there's going to be people who follow along with that, and there will be some percentage of people that go, hang on a minute, what is this? And they're going to look into the history, and they're going to read stuff and think, what, there's 5 years worth of development here? What, there's this whole freaking community, and there's people such as myself and others who have, coming up on thousands of hours worth of content out there for this thing. Okay, there's clearly something here that's worth looking into more. That's the kind of angle that we need to be focused on.
Probably unfair to compare Sparklet to a meme coin, in the sense that
exactly.
Sparklet is so much more than a meme coin. But I know what you're saying is like the money that gets thrown around, the market caps for some of these meme coins is ridiculous. And yeah, if you got in really early, and usually only the people in the loop and the know and whatnot that do that can make a crap load of money. But if you're buying a meme coin, it's so you can dump it later on. There's no other reason to buy a meme coin other than to dump it. That is 100% not the case. Now, are people going to leave the game? Yeah, of course they are. You know, but someone else is going to pick up that slack and buy their Spark and use their Spark. It's not going to be a case of, once the founder dumps it, then everybody else dumps it and it's going to be worthless. So to compare Sparklet to meme coins, no. But yeah, what you're saying, millions and if not tens or hundreds of millions of dollars in these meme coins, if some of that came to Spark, and I think it will. Getting back to 46 cents is what we all think the price could and should be. I think that'll happen sooner rather than later, I think. And then you also think about how many coins like in these meme coins and these other crypto coins out there. I mean, you can look at the price and compare Upland, like the Sparklet price in terms of like 5-10 cents a coin, and look at other projects that have a similar price in that 5 to 10 cent range, and then look at how many coins they have compared to how many coins Sparklet has.
Yes. Now, that all plays a role.
From the crypto point of view, there's a little scary thing called the fully diluted value. And because there's so much Sparklet that hasn't been released, from the crypto only point of view, people will go, well, that's scary. If that all got released into the market, that would absolutely dump the price. But we as Uplanders know that that's not going to happen. This is going to take 30 years for all this to get into the market. I think it's 30 years that Upland's plan was.
They did change that to 10, I believe. That was part of the conversation that was had as part of the roadmap. Don't quote me on the
it's not
figure,
like it's going to happen at the peak of the market, is it? It's not like you know when to sell your Ethereum because you've seen the Ethereum Foundation sell a bunch of theirs. Like it's not going to be like that. It just can't be like that. So there will be people that will buy Sparklet just for a speculation purpose, buy $1,000 worth of it, let it sit there and hope that it goes up to $10,000 or something like that. And and that'll help us in a way if you're wanting to try and make some money out of it. But at the end of the day, if Sparklet stays at a crap price, we just keep buying more and using it in the game. I mean, how can you lose? And if it goes up to a stupid price and you can make a difference in your life and make your life better because of Sparklet, happy days. Like it is a win-win situation. Unless Upland went away tomorrow, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, and there are crypto cowboys and cowgirls out there that get together in groups and they pump it. They could coordinate a massive pump and a massive dump. That's all part of the game. There's a couple of good points in chat that I'd just like to go back and touch on. Ace said the utility within Upland hasn't changed since yesterday, though. The short-term price is meaningless if you have a long-term outlook. Brabant's kind of followed up saying, sadly enough, Spark will be a lot less valuable now, and I fear that the Spark renting might really take a beating. Well, it's already taken a significant beating. Yeah, it's all going to be rebalanced. Again, it comes down to users. If there's more users and there's more utility, which we've been wanting more utility rental systems and whatnot. But think about things that are upcoming, like the legits, making legits and having to burn Sparklet to be able to produce those.
Which blueprints are happening and stuff like that, which will be the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about the rejigging, and I hope that they do this, and it's one of my gripes at the moment with buildings that you can do in the game. Like I think it's like 20 something Spark you can stake on a micro house, yet you can only stake like 19 Spark on much bigger builds. So they need to not only adjust the amount of Spark that you've got to take to build certain apartments, go from whatever it is now, say 5,000 to 20,000, but you also need to increase the amount that you can stake at the same time. Otherwise, that'll just become a massive pain in the ass. But that needs to be balanced. The fact that you can build a micro house in a day, I hate it. But that's another day.
Yeah, Sparrow 1984 said in chat too. Also, cars, we know that that's going to be a whole thing. Consumables with racing and, having to burn spark as for transportation. Bring in paid transportation mechanics before we got kicked off. Ace was moving map assets. So you can imagine that, if that all comes in, that's going to be part of it as well. More utility for that.
So Connor's just asked a question about transferring it. Do you mean like Sparklet into Upland? Because if that's the case, depending on where you buy it, like if you're buying it straight from the decentralized exchange like Uniswap, it already is in your MetaMask. So obviously, I'm not going to go through how you do that, but that's already straight into your MetaMask, and you connect your MetaMask to Upland, and you can transfer it straight in, and all that's there under the settings in there. If you're buying it from one of these exchanges, unfortunately, there's an extra step you need to do and send it from the exchange to your MetaMask and then to Upland. It's not super complicated. If you've got absolutely no idea of crypto, obviously it can seem overwhelming. It's fairly straightforward. The fact, although I don't like the fact that it is on Ethereum because Ethereum's prices are really high, but the fact that you can pay for it with UpX, fantastic. And I think that'll make things go a lot smoother.
Yes.
Has anyone made a video of it? Yeah, I think Ryan, I can't think of the full name of his channel. I think Ryan was trying to do something or did a video about it the other day. But I think he might have been trying to jump the gun and just be a little bit early on it.
And I put the comment there too. I'll put that up. Keep an eye on YK2012. He does lots of that sort of content as well.
Yeah.
That kind of step by step. He's really good at that. I'm not going near it with a bar of soap, so don't expect anything from me. I won't be touching.
Oh, maybe on LSLAC show next week, maybe I can do a demonstration or something like that because I've bought a little bit on BitGet, but at the same time, it's in this pool there, so I don't particularly want to pull it out for 10 days. So we'll work it out. So
the one thing, again, how do you juggle this? Not financial advice, not game strategy advice, but whenever you're moving anything with crypto, it is a bit hard when it comes to Ethereum because of the gas fees and whatnot. But you should never move if you've got a million Sparklet, you shouldn't move a million Sparklet straight off the get go. Do a little test run first. Make sure you know what the hell you're doing, because if you make a mistake, she's all over Red Rover.
And a classic mistake that people will make, and I'm not saying this will happen now, but when you're sending from one exchange to another or to your wallet or something like that, it's very easy to send something, say, from a Binance chain to an Ethereum chain. And if you do that, it's gone forever. There's nothing you can do. You can't get it back. Say goodbye, have a cry, and move on with your life. And I've done it. And I nearly did it again this afternoon with sending some USDT across because I was picking the cheapest chain to send it across, but I forgot to change it at the other end. And and I caught it at the verification stage because it came up as Ethereum or something on one end, and I knew I was trying to pick a different chain just to send it. So these centralized platforms, obviously, if you're on Uniswap, it's only Ethereum, and that's all there is, and you can't really get it wrong. But when you go to BitGet, stuff like that, because they can use multiple chains, they'll give you the option, and that's the bit where you got to be careful. But otherwise, it's relatively simple. Like, do a small one, you'll learn. It's pretty quick to pick up. It's not too complicated. It's just because it's new, it's overwhelming.
Yes. Make a list, check it twice. Yes. All right. Well, I think we've covered that fairly extensively, so we'll switch gears again a little bit here. Thank you very much to everyone who took part in all 3 stages of the Midtown Terrace sale price survey. We had a total of 80 entries for the final stage 3. 2 of those entries were double ups. I believe it was 6 week 6 and kind of 520, trying to double up in there. And one of those was my own entry. So if we boink those out of there, that's 77 for the prize draws that we're going to run a bit later in the show. Best of luck to everyone who got involved in that. As for the results, well, they certainly surprised me. More information will be dropped in the NBA server at some stage. I've put in the notes over the next week or so, but I've been flat out in real life situations, so I'm not sure. We do have the prices now, so that's one of the key points. Now I've got to get the list of what's actually going to be for sale, yada, yada, yada. So that'll all be outlined in the NBA publicly, of course. And that's, as I said, it's based on this final data that we've got to. Speaking of which, let's have a bit of a squeeze at that now. If I can find it, should be this one. So this is just taken straight from the Google Forms thing. So for a small townhouse in Midtown Terrace property, what do you think will be a reasonable price? 50,000 UPEX was by far away the winner in that. I was surprised at how high these were. I was expecting much lower, but then you got to take into consideration that a lot of people that voted on this, they are Midtown Terrace property owners, and it makes perfect sense that they don't want to see, their presumed or actual property values drop too low. So that's the lowest one for that. For a small townhouse in Midtown Terrace for USD, it's not just a case of everyone voted for the lowest price. This one is $20. So yeah, so you can pick one up you will be able to pick one up for 50,000 UPX or $20. That pipped the $15 one by a fair bit. Now, this one, you would think, what are the chances of an exactly even score here with so many votes? For a 3 townhouse neighborhood collection set per property in UPX, well, what do you know? 41.3% for 80,000 UPX and the exact same for 100,000 UPX. I looked into the data more to see if there was another decimal point, but it was the exact number of votes. So I guess, does it make sense to make it 90,000? That was my first thought. Yeah. So we'll go with that. Again, I thought that was really, really high. But as I said, I was willing to put this out of my hands to set the prices, and that's what it's going to be. On the flip side, for a 3 townhouse property set in Midtown Terrace for USD, again, this is per property. The winner there is $30. So it's going to be $90.
It's a little bit high, but it's a bloody good node. So I don't think $30 isn't unreasonable for 3 properties in a node, in any node, let alone Midtown. And then the current rate is roughly 3-to-1 to 4-to-1 UPEX to USD. So to have 90,000 as a collection and $30 as 90,000 UPEX and 30, I think it almost nails it. I think the system that you've gone through has been about as good as you could possibly have done, and I think the results have come out, I think, reasonably fair both ways. I mean,
yes,
there was never ever going to be an answer that made everybody happy. It didn't matter what the result was.
Yep.
So
and that's why I did it the way I did it. It's because I put it out to the community. So you just keep in mind that price is per property. So if you want the 3, it's that times 3.
Okay.
It sounded yeah. So that's a bit of a reality check there. So that was if you want the full collection. If you just like I kind of mentioned at the get-go of setting this up, if you're somebody that has a San Francisco treasure web and Midtown Terrace has been a pain in your ass the entire time, well, you can pick up one there for $15. I think that's quite reasonable. Oh, sorry, $20. My mistake, $20. Again, what I believe will happen is once some of these start getting put up on the market, there's a fair chance that other people that are in the area and don't want to hold on to Midtown Terrace, they're probably going to undercut that price. So if you want to keep an eye on it, who knows what's going to happen? Because like I said, my supply that I'm willing to let go is very finite. So yes, keep in mind too that I'm going to continue on with the end of the month giveaways as part of that. So maybe that's something that sways your interest in this. Of course, there's absolutely no reason why you would have to buy a property there. There's no reason you have to do anything there. But yeah, I've got far too many properties there that I don't need to hold on to. So that is what it is. So thank you very much to everyone who took part. And like I said, we'll do the draw there coming up here pretty shortly. All right, that brings us on to the QIPS. If you have any questions, insights, provocations, or statements about Upland that we could cover on the show, there's a link to a Google form in the description. Livestar Jazzy Jazz hit me up in the NBA server before. That's also now pinned in the general chat in the NBA server. Make sure you include your in-game name in your submission, and if we use it, you'll win yourself some kind of prize. One of the QIPS tonight was from somebody who didn't include their in-game name, so I can't send them the prize. And then somebody or somebodies recently sent through 2 great quips on 2 interesting topics, but they also didn't include their in-game name. Those have come through in the last week. If that was you and you DM me with what it was all about and it matches, I'll fix that up for you and I'll patch you in. So if we use it next week, you'll get your prize. Yada yada. Yeah, don't forget. So first up tonight, we've got what's basically a stated opinion from Moinasa, who says ideas for building Midtown Terrace node community to help with a future purple collection upgrade. Okay, diversifying ownership is a good start. Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this sale. Perhaps whitelisting the initial sales to players with Upland Down Under contest points. I have been down that road with the old Upland Development United thing where vetting which is essentially whitelisting, and it's a very time-consuming process. And at the end of the day, I don't really think it achieved much at all. So I won't be looking into that one. Future Upland Down Under prizes for Midtown Terrace home address players. I'm doing that already with the monthly thing that I started last month. If you are a Midtown Terrace resident, if you're a new resident, you're going to be in Tier 2 for the giveaways. If you are a Tier 1, meaning you've been a Midtown Terrace resident for more than 1 month, you're going to qualify for better prizes, blah, blah, blah. MetaVenture owners, really, really difficult because Midtown Terrace doesn't have any properties, well, very few large properties, certainly nothing that could be a factory, or there's only one property there that's big enough for a showroom, and that's my showroom. So pretty limited with that sort of stuff. But if you wanted to, I've done this with some of the blanking on the word, but whatever it is, the Spark exchanges and whatnot, they've come on over because they can go on anything. But if you really wanted to have a freaking legit shop or something, yeah, absolutely, let me know. Bonus prizes for any property owners on live during streaming, whilst retaining a prize for others as a carrot to build viewership. So what are you saying? Because we do the live participants prizes, a bonus prize for live participant prize if you're a Midtown Terrace resident. I mean, that gets a bit bloody confusing. We're flat out trying to get something organised just for the live participants. So maybe I'll put a maybe on that one. If we can get the live participants stuff sorted out, we'll put a pin on that one. And he's just outing himself as not yet being a property owner. Well, as you have seen, there's going to be some pretty good chances to get involved. Next is a statement from someone unknown, as I said, who didn't include the in-game name, so I can't send him a prize. The Midtown Terrace survey got me overthinking. It's a desirable city, a desirable location, and to be in this node will be a privilege. Well, thank you for saying so. Obviously, the onus is going to be on me to do something with it to make it more than just the dusty old bloody thing that it has been for the last year or so. So, yeah, as you've seen with the residence thing that I'm trying to do, trying to spark a bit more life into the old beast. See how we go. Sorry, just reading chat. Yes, live participants wheel. There's a link. I've dropped that several times. If you scroll back through, you should be able to see it. And the hashtag is Pampit, however you want to spell it. One more quips we've got is from, now again, 666 Rampant Quipser. He gets about 10K off me every single week. He starts off by saying, totems and living things. Will these items be used in a metaventure, or are they going to be another additional item set on properties across Upland? So we know that totems, eventually they're going to run out of their kind of juice and they're just going to be lawn ornaments, basically.
Are we going to have nurseries and pet shops? Is that what he's asking? And
yeah, like
probably
dogs
yes.
and dogs and trees and whatnot.
Pet shops, and yeah. I mean, 100%. I think that's exactly where we're heading. When we get there, it might be a little while down the track, but given that we've only had one season of Totems so far.
Yep, nurseries, the whole kit and caboodle has been talked about for years and years and years. You can imagine things like pets. Well, if Swaley's gone away from the weekend and he's forgot to feed his little cat, and his little cat's kicked a bucket. Oh no, Swaley, he's devastated. We all want to pitch in and pay for a little funeral for little snookums, and Swally can get a legit or an NFT that kind of commemorates that he can put up on his wall inside of his house on display in his in-home experiences. I mean,
Or
who knows?
memorial.
There's 1,000 things.
Memorial in your backyard or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that could be done.
Yeah.
Will it be done? Should it be done? It's probably a Bueller Man's quote there. Eventually, soon, sometime maybe in the year 2000 and what was it, 76 or something. Yeah, but
One day, eventually, maybe.
yeah, I don't think it's going to be if you go to bloody Scooby's nursery and you buy a tree from him. That's not going to have a finite life. I wouldn't think so. There's probably going to be some kind of gamification mechanics or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably have to use your stem to feed it, and maybe you need to do that once a week or once a month or something like that. But why not? I mean, trees live until someone comes along and chops them down. Trees can potentially live for hundreds of years. So to put a big ass oak tree or something in your front yard or backyard and then feed it once a month or something like that,
yes,
why not? And I don't know, there might be legits or something that you had to create or spawn the tree to begin with, and why not have a nursery that with someone that can do all that for you, and then you can just buy like a little sapling off them and then grow it up. Like, I mean, the sky's the limit. Where we go with this game, the sky's the limit. That's probably my biggest argument with or gripe against Upland is I don't think they listen to us enough with these things. Like, we can talk about all these things, but let's get cars right. Let's get all this other stuff right, the UIs, and let's get the things that we do have right first before we start going. But Upland don't seem to do that. They just keep bringing out something new and without fixing what's broke.
Yep. Well, clearly their focus has been elsewhere for quite a while to get these deals sorted up. But you could see things like, you could see things like consumable fertilizer legit. So Swally's bought his Christmas tree. He's forgot to fertilize the freaking thing. He forgot to water it. He forgot to water the bloody thing, and it's going to be buried next to the ashes of that. Going to be buried next to Snookums. And Leban said in chat, he's got the gravestones ready to go. Now he's followed up to say that took a dark turn. Yes, absolutely. So I mean, the sky's the limit there. But don't hold your breath.
I mean, the life is definitely where we're heading towards. There's no ifs, ands, buts about that. But how long?
Yes.
What it looks like, how long before we get it? Just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So thank you very much for that, Wainasa 666 and Anonymous. Well, I can't give the 10,000 UPX after fees to Anonymous. If that was you and you can somehow prove it, well, then hit me up and I'll fix you up on the back end, of course. Remember that there's a link to the QIPS form in the description, also in the NBA server. Live participants wheel, heads up. The link's been dropped several times. The hashtag is Pampet. And we'll jump straight on over to this week's Getting to Know Community Members segment, care of Mesme and other members of the Dynamic Node Builders. And this week they're featuring, as if you haven't heard enough from him tonight already, Swally129, who is currently an executive with a net worth of just over 36.6 million UPX. He's got 1,828 properties, 58,630 Sparklet. Is that might not be right, is it? Didn't you say you had 60?
It's a bit of, since the Sparklet swap over, I don't think Upex Land has tracked that too well. So it's definitely, my Sparklet balance at the moment is a little bit over 60.
Yep. All right, let me just
get that link. This month it hasn't gone up much because I've done very little treasure. It's the first time in 2.5 years that I've gone pretty much in 2.5 years I haven't gone a day without doing most of my treasure hunting, maybe 1 or 2 days here and there. But I've had almost a whole month of virtually no treasure hunting.
Is this one of those things where I can relate this to my in real life situation? Like back way back in the day when I lived near the beach, I used to get up at stupid AM and go for a run along the beach every morning before work, and I did it every single day. And one day I woke up and it was like a freaking cyclone. It was pissing down rain, freezing cold, and I said, you know what? I'm going to sleep in today. And I never did it again.
It's a little bit of that. Ever since they got rid of for me at least, the PC treasure hunting, it's been a real chore. Like, it wasn't best of fun to begin with. Like, treasure hunting, when you first start, it's a bit of a challenge, and it can be frustrating to miss chests, stuff like that, especially now with the treasure hunting so much harder than it was when we first started. It became a real chore after they stopped the PC treasure hunting, the browser web hunting. But it's Blender that's got me sidetracked at the moment. So I've put a lot of time and effort into Blender, learning that. And like anything else, I've learned a new skill, and I'm trying to cement that in. Like, I'm trying to just get better, understand it more, follow more tutorials, create more stuff. So I've just went, you know what, I'm going to give treasure hunting a miss for a month. I'll get back on board, and probably will have to anyway with the challenges and stuff like that for the next season. Give it a miss for a month, and I think the time that I spent in Blender, and you've seen some of the stuff, nothing's improved yet. I've submitted so much, absolutely nothing's been approved, but I've got a long way to go to catch up to the quality that's being produced by some other creators out there. But I think I've gone a reasonable distance in the short time that I've been involved in it, and I mean that's always where I've wanted to go. So I've dedicated the time, I put the time and effort into it. I think that's where my future is, not treasure. It never was about treasure hunting. It was about getting the spark to begin with, to do all this sort of stuff. So I felt like I was at the level now that I'm ready to do all this, but so we'll see where it goes. But
everybody started somewhere, mate, and I've seen a bit of your progression, and it's good stuff. Keep it up.
The creating stuff is so much fun. It's just so rewarding to have a vision and put it together and make it come out and look at it on the screen and just go, that could be in the game one day. So I can 100% see what DTech is hooked to and what he's getting involved in. The other half of it, getting it into Upland, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. It's not as daunting as it sounds, but it's there's always a bad bit to everything, and that's the bad bit with the creation, is that then you've got to get it Upland ready. And that can be a little bit of a nightmare, especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Can't get the juice without a bit of a squeeze, mate, as we say. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. All right, I'll continue on with my blurb. So, yes, Swaley's home residence is in the St. George's neighbourhood of Bermuda, and I've put in my notes for some reason. What's the story?
I did have it as Bayswater because they reached out and said, look, can you put, because I had some properties there and they were going for the collection status, which they've now got. So I did have it as there, and then I started selling my Queen stuff, and it just made more sense, like with not having treasure hunting in Queens anymore, to sell stuff that is good value, so I could buy up in Washington. So unfortunately Bayswater went, so I just moved it, and St. George was just on top of the list, and I'm like, oh, that's neutral. If FYI, if I am part of your node and you do need, if you are trying to go for a collection status, I am up for hire, like for free, so I guess that's not really high. I really don't care too much. So if you need someone, if you are on the list, I haven't looked at the collection stuff for a long time, but if there is a neighborhood that I do have a property in and a building on, I'd be happy to change it. I really don't care too much.
Absolutely. No, that's good. I just noticed too, some people are dropping the Pampet hashtag in the YouTube comments. Unfortunately, that's not the system we're running with tonight. We're running with a Google form, so I've just dropped it again. You may have to copy and paste if it's not a live link. Apologies. One day, as I said, we'll get our act together, but it is not today. So yes, aside from being a Spark treasure hunting phenomenon, Swally is, of course, a co-host of this show, and he's also a co-host with Elslack, the Vulgar Uplander, for the Neutral Zone series. I was talking to Swally, when was that, yesterday or the day before, about how I was looking forward to catching up on it, and you're trying to talk me out of it, and I was like, no, I really appreciate that you kind of dive here, there, and everywhere. You kind of take your time to dive into things. Yeah.
We went for about 2.5 hours of that, and to be honest, I really don't care if nobody ever watches it. Like, it's, for me, it's just catching up with else, like having a chat, and I love it. I don't know anybody in my IRL that I can talk Upland about. No one at work cares. The missus puts up with it as much as she can, like she's involved, but nowhere near to the level I am. So to be able to just chat to someone else, and we don't have any agenda or plan or what we're going to talk about. We just start talking, and we can chop and change, and and a couple of weeks ago we had a few other people jump on, including like Blue Rain. We probably don't put it out enough to let people know that we're there, so they can just drop in, and it's just meant to be just chatting. And it doesn't even have to be Upland. It's just Uplanders chatting, and if it happens to be about Upland or something else, then so be it. But yeah, it can.
Yep.
I'm not expecting everyone to jump out there and listen to all 2 hours plus every week, but you know, we would more want people just to join in, and even if it's only for 10 minutes, and you know, pass on their opinions, thoughts, or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of talked about that in the Metaverse and Beyond podcast series I did with BLE Kiwi Talk, BK, about how it's hard to find somebody that you can talk about with these sort of things that don't roll their eyes or their eyes glaze over. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And not to interject and ruin your kind of spotlight here, but yeah, I do have a number of really cool interviews booked for that series. Thanks to everybody that's been reaching out in DMs or in the comments to say that, you know, they've enjoyed certain parts of it and whatnot. Yeah, they're a lot of fun to do. And I've got some good ones booked coming up as well. So keep your eyes and ears out for that.
Out of the park lately. I mean, not to say that any of the other ones weren't anywhere near as good, but just some of the interviews lately have just been absolutely phenomenal, and I just can't wait personally each week. And then I just keep talking to other people in Upland going, I wish Ben would interview you. I'd love to know more about your story and what's going on.
Yep, you've sent a few my way.
Yeah. I said anyone that's even remotely interested, because, I mean, yeah, we don't get to talk to these people in real life, so the best thing we can do is just catch up as much as we can on up here. So yeah, I love it.
Yes, absolutely. All right, back to your blurb. Yeah, I said here he's also quickly and impressively establishing himself as a UGC blender creator for both map assets and structure ornaments. So yeah, as he's very much in the beginning stages of your journey, but I'm sure there's good things to come, especially once things start getting approved. And I'm very much looking forward to giving away some of those on the show and whatnot. I'm sure.
There's a slight chance it might happen.
Yeah. All right. As we always do, we're going to have a bit of a sneaky peek, a bit of a look at what he's got going on at UPX land. I mean, this is, if you want to see a hodler graph, this is it. Very linear growth. Property, very steady up. Not a drop off, just a bit of a cooling off period, which is surprising considering how much treasure we're building and selling you're doing. It's clear that it's clear that whatever you're selling, whatever treasure web you're selling, you're immediately putting that back into establishing something else. Like there's no drop offs at all.
Yeah, collections. I'm all about trying to get that yield up. Like I always had that. I always thought it was a bridge too far in the sense to try and get to that $1 million UPX a month income. But in the last few months or so, it actually looks like it's achievable. Like I actually feel like, I don't know, I can actually get to $1 million. It's not that daunting. Like it's amazing how, like, at the start, it just seems like such a grind. You finally get to like your 1,000 a day type thing, and you're like, yes, what a milestone. And next thing you know, you're at 10,000 a week or something like that, and then it just spirals from there. And then before you know it, you're like upping it. You go get a collection for like 2 million, and you're earning an extra 50,000 a month or something like that, and it just spirals almost not out of control, but just the growth is so much faster as you continue on the journey. So, So the only thing that's going down, and again, I'm not rushing. I'm not trying to drop the floors of Queen. I've got a lot of properties for sale in Queens, varying from close to mint price to some probably way too much. But anything I do sell in Queens, it goes back into either buying a collection or minting up in Washington, where I do treasure hunting now.
Yes. And it's your mint net worth is very much distanced from your property's net worth.
Anyone that's playing and anyone that's not an OG player should almost be in that situation. If you've got money to spend, if you can afford a few dollars here and there, when you can buy stuff at 20%, and most of the stuff I bought was at 30 and 40%, you're not doing it right. If you're not having the light green, if you're not an OG player, if you're not having the light green above your other one, you're doing it wrong. And there's exceptions to that, because obviously someone like Elslake has got a lot of properties in James UK's node. That's a different story. Nodes will always cost you more. And that is a difference there. So, and generally speaking, I guess players that are involved in nodes a lot will have the reverse. But I've always been about
Absolutely.
trying
All
to
right.
get yield. That was always been my focus, was the yield.
Very good. All right, let's jump on over and check out the DMB responses. So in-game name, Swiley129, Uplander since April 2022. Been to Vegas? No, but very much would like to go. I know that. Famous fact about where you live, beaches and a lack of guns. Bucket list, Genesis Week. Well, there you go. Tattoos, no. Celebrity you know the most about, Shane Warne, RIP. A guilty pleasure, death by chocolate. Nice one. Pet peeve, using the word seen incorrectly. For example,
how often do you hear someone go, "Yeah, you put me on the spot here." Instead of saying "I saw someone," "I seen them the other day," instead of saying "I saw someone."
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it's not just that word. There's so many words like that. It just and again, like when everybody does this now. It's like me and Steve went to the shops. No, Steve and I went to the shops. That's proper grammar.
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm perfect, but just I don't know why. Just little things like that just peeve me.
Grinds your gears. There you go.
Yeah,
well, that's what it's supposed to be, a pet peeve. Yes. If you could start a charity, animal rescue, never do again, paintball. Now, getting to chat with BK on the weekend, it was great to go back and go over this, her story about never wanting to go in the ocean. Paintball, all right, let us know. You here? Why not? What happened?
I did it when I was younger, before I had my career in the police force, and loved it and swore I'd go back the following week. Didn't. 20 years on, and probably a bit more than 20 years on, did it not too long ago with my new occupation, and went home very sore, crying, and went, I'm never doing that again. It wasn't anywhere near as fun when you're about 25 years older. Not as fit. Like back in those days when I first did it, I used to play a lot of rugby league. Nowhere near as fit and active, and probably felt it a lot more as a bit older, a bit softer around the edges. Those days are gone for me. I think paintball. No.
Yeah, I've never done it myself, but I've seen the aftermath of it. And yeah, Jimmy Jester's right. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it got missed. What is your
superpower?
Desired superpower.
Probably, I probably would have put flying. I like the idea of just being able to float. I love swimming. Back when I used to live on the coast, I used to go to the beach all the time. And just that feeling of just being out in the water and just floating almost in the water. I love that sensation. So to be able to, and then not to mention that just be able to fly to Vegas for the week or for the night or something like that would be pretty cool.
Yes. Occupation 24/7 daycare center for grown-up children, in brackets naughty children. Yes. 3 Uplanders you chat with regularly: Ben68, what a wanker, Elslack, the vulgar Uplander, and his missus.
There's a lot of people I could put in there, but I do speak to her every day, and she does play. So not as much as I'd like her to play, but she does play, so she qualifies.
Absolutely. So, yes, if you would like to get yourself involved in what the DMB's got going on, a little bit of a spotlight like that, there's a link to the DMB Discord server in the description. Say good day, tell them the UDU podcast sent you, or you can just hit up Mesme and she'll hook you up as well. Live participant wheels, heads up. I do see there's some more hashtags being dropped. You have to, apologies, but you have to click the link to the Google form and fill it out, or copy and paste it if it won't work. What are we up to? NBA server competition. Okay. We're getting serious now. It's time to give away some stuff. So yes, normally the weekly challenge, it's 10,000 UPX for the main prize, and it's 5,000 UPX for a bonus prize. Obviously, with the Midtown Terrace survey being last week's challenge, that's all a bit different. Thank you very much, as I said, to everybody that got involved. It's time to give away a crap ton of UPX, 3 Midtown Terrace properties, and some mystery map assets. Not only that, of course, you're going to go in the running for the first epic beach sunbed and beach ball set, care of show sponsor Wanderer 1976 and his Upland Metaventure series, Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories. Add a little uniqueness to your properties with Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories, your one-stop shop for all things virtual in Upland. Links to all of these showrooms and whatnot are, of course, in the description. Now, as I said, I am on the son's laptop. My laptop's dead and sent back to the shop, so we'll see how we go here. What should I do here? We got the sponsor prizes, which is a separate wheel. I've got the 5,000 UPX, the 10, the 50, the 100, and then the 3 properties. should we allow people can win more than once, or do we take names off? What do you reckon?
You always know my opinion on this. More the merrier. I think you start with the best prize first, so that way everyone has the opportunity of whatever the best prize is, and that could be argued almost in this case. But I'd prefer to see like 10 people win a prize each than one person win 3 or 4 prizes. That's just my personal opinion.
All right. Well, I'll put it to you. If you had the choice, would you take a 100,000 UPX in your pocket, or would you take a Midtown Terrace property? Don't have to be biased. I'm not going to get upset.
Considering you could buy Midtown Terrace property for 80 or 90,000, I'd probably take the 100,000 UPX.
All right, let's do that. We'll do the 100,000, and then we'll do the 3 Midtown Terrace properties, and then we'll do the 50, the 10, and the 5. Yep, that makes sense. And then we'll do the sponsor prizes because that's a separate wheel.
And that's everybody back in. Yeah.
Yep. So that is this wheel here. All right. So this first roll of the wheel, this is for 100,000 big ones. Up fees, straight dropped into your account, and I got to shuffle, don't I? That goes to Grizzly, man. I think he's got it. Grizzly, congratulations.
Yay.
100,000 UPX.
Nice.
On the way for you. All right. This one is going to be for Midtown Terrace property 297 Glenview Drive with a townhouse built. And that one goes to TB125. No, it's ticked over. I don't know that name. Sick Clown. Hopefully people put in their actual Upland names and they weren't just trolling around, effing around. Otherwise, they're going to be severely disappointed. Congratulations to you. We'll do another shuffle. I was spamming that here, there, and everywhere, so Lord knows. This one is for 894 Burnett Ave, Midtown Terrace. And that goes to... Oh, 6 weeks has just missed it. Now he's just missed it. Trav KL. Congratulations, 894 Burnett Ave, and your new neighbour at 890 Burnett Ave. Let's find out who that's going to be. That goes to... Oh, we got Green Turtles missed out. Cassastra. Well-known
yes.
Player Cass. Congratulations, Cassastra. 890 Burnett Ave coming your way. All right, now that takes us to 50,000 UPX. That's nothing to sneeze about. 50 big one. Paris on the way. Who knows what else? Do a bit of damage with that. Maybe not much. Keeping Cool might have it. Or Joe Jones Pros. Just ticked over. Well-known name, that one. Joe Jones Pro. Congratulations to you. And that brings us to the 10,000. 10,000 UPX goes to... just our regular weekly prizes. Oh, Shaq's just missed it. Scientist. Yes, I know Scientist. Scientist. Congratulations. And the last one for this wheel, 5,000 UPX. Bit on the poke in the eye with the burnt tip. It won't do much damage for 5,000, but, you know, it's a treasure hunt or two. 6 weeks has got it. No, he's just missed it again. Another new name.
No.
Box.
I've come across that name a lot with treasure hunting.
Have you? Box Sixer. Congratulations. I don't need to remove you. I can just jump on over to this wheel. So this is Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories. So remember, this is the sponsor prize, a beach sunbed and beach ball set. And that goes to... Who we got? A Green Turtle might have it. GT.
Nice.
The OG, man.
OG.
Congratulations. Green Turtle. Well done. And let me get out of there. I'll stop sharing. Yeah, as I said, it's all going to be a bit clunky as we blitz through this on the back end.
You've done well.
Nothing for you, Laban. No, apologies, mate. Nothing for you in that one. So yes, that was last week's challenge. I will endeavour to get that out to you within the next 48 hours, hopefully. See how I go tomorrow. Today was just an absolute horror show at work, so if I have another one of those, I might need some time off. We'll see how we go. Anyway, that was last week's challenge. This week's challenge, back to our regular thing. Get yourself in the contest channel within the NBA server. If you don't know what the NBA server is, there's a link in the description. If you don't know where the contest channel is, tag me in the NBA server and I'll point you in the right direction. Get yourself in there and let us know what your thoughts are on the release of Sparklet into the wild west of the crypto markets. And if you want to be involved in the bonus prize, also let us know, have you made any moves yourself with your Sparklet balance? If so, why? If not, why not? So what do you think about Sparklet, and are you doing anything? So what are the prizes? Back to our regular 10,000 UPX after fees for the main prize, 5,000, for the bonus prize. And not only that, of course, you'll also go in the running for the second epic beach sunbed and beach ball set, care of show sponsor Wanderer 1976 and his Upland Metaventure series, Neo, Decor, Showrooms and Factories. Now, this brings us to the live participants wheel. I have dropped the link to the Google form several times tonight. Hopefully you managed to work out how to click on that or copy and paste it. Swally, can I throw it over to you for a bit of gas bagging while I get that organised?
Thanks. Give me something to gas the bag about. Ask me a question and then do that.
What's this week's challenge? Maybe you can kind of preemptively.
Okay, what I intend to do with my Spark. Well, sadly, I went from being about 22 in the Spark rankings all the way down to about 60 something. But we'll see where that settles when all this shenanigans settles out. But there's certainly different way to look at Spark these days because it's no longer the same as what it used to be. But I don't intend on changing what I was planning at all. Like, I'm going to continue acquiring as much as I can, building and playing. And then if Sparklet ever got to the point where it could change my life in the real world, well, then I'll consider selling. But until that point, I couldn't give a shit what the price is.
Yeah,
so
that's fair enough.
I'm going to keep playing Upland.
All right. Anybody else got anything to say in chat? Help me stretch this out while I get this ready. No, as I said, it's going to be a bit clunky tonight while we fix this up on the back end. Yeah, I don't know what happened with my laptop. I was trying to sort out to do the Spotify upload, and it just went black. And so I called up Acer, and they couldn't help me. They said take it back to the bloody shop, and took it back to them, and they kind of rolled their eyes and sent it back to the factory. It might take up to 6 weeks to get that one back. So poor old son, I'm stealing his laptop. All right, now we do have, I'm not going to be harsh here. Swally, you haven't put the bloody hashtag in. Naughty.
Leave me out, I don't care.
I'll let it slide for this one.
That's what I did.
Can't just put his bloody name in here twice again. You're just making a habit of that, mate.
He needs all the help.
Sneaky bastard. All right, so I'm not sharing screen, am I? All right, so apologies if we missed you on this one. Like I said, I will one of these days. I'll endeavour to sort myself out. I might have to sit down with Laban and have a private lesson on how to do this stuff. But okay, this is the live participant, so keep in mind this is just to see who's going to roll the second wheel that decides what prize is going to be won. Oh, Base has just missed it. Keeping cool. Keeping cool. Thank you very much, and we can just jump straight over to this one. What's keeping cool going to win? A Love Heart Jacuzzi, 5,000 UPX. Mystery Map has its 10,000 UPX. A Red Garden Breach, or 15,000 UPX. Oh, he's got the big one.
She's going to be broke after tonight.
Am I? Well, if you think I'm going to be broke, check this shit out.
Okay.
Look at the mission that I'm on. Look at the mission I'm on at the moment. I'm on the don't FOMO and click the bloody button.
Why is that?
I mean, I don't know. I've never done it before. I've never just said, you know what, I'm not going to collect my earnings. I want to get my earnings, uncollected earnings, above my balance, just to shit and giggles, I guess.
Well, you know,
I
always track all my stuff, so I try to collect it once a week, and then I write that down in my spreadsheet. That way I can add them all up at the end of the month and see how much I earn from property earnings for the month. But when we have a city release or something like that, I might collect just so I've got a bit extra.
Yes, absolutely. I'm bloody Samurai Aquatics again. I'm going to
He
no,
wants to get
it's this bloody Treasure Island again.
No,
I
but
don't know what it is. I'm constantly in
trying to
Treasure
find
Island.
out, maybe
Yeah.
it's selling his.
Freaking weird. It's telling me something. I don't know what it is. It's definitely something. All right, I got to get out of there, and I'm going to close that before it crashes and burns. All right, super crazy long show. You know, we did set up for a pretty epic rant. You know, obviously, neither Swally or myself set out to do things like that with any malice or anything like that. But you know, we're both passionate about the game. I don't know how can we put a bow on that, or how can we tie that up, Swally?
It's bottom line is it's all about the game as a whole, not any individual person, regardless of what country, nationality, or where you're from or what you're doing. It's all about the game and where the game can go. That's the focus that everybody needs to have with everything. If you don't like that focus of where the game's going, then don't play the game. Unfortunately, it's the same as anything Upland does. You're not going to make everybody happy. It's just not possible. So unfortunately, this time it was, I guess, the Americans and a few other countries that are blocked from those sites that missed out. Absolutely sucks. I wish it wasn't so. But bigger picture, this is the best thing that's happened to Upland in general that I'm aware of since I've been playing for 2.5 years. So I think the future is just it's scary to think how good this could be. Like it doesn't mean it's going to be; it just could be, and that's the focus that we should all be having.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. Anyway.
And that's, as we said at the very start of the show when we played the disclaimer, there was very biased opinions coming. That's very much been on display this evening. There'll be lots of other people put their very biased opinions out there. Take it on board, everything with a grain of salt. Everybody's got to make up their own minds where they want to go with this thing. And, of course, not financial advice, but always don't invest more.
I'll shout out KO, who I know you're having coming up on the show in the near future, hopefully sooner rather than later. He was doing a breakdown with SC on his show a couple of nights ago when it first released, and you can see straight away that the disappointment in their face that they couldn't be involved in it themselves. But he definitely could see the bigger picture and was explaining that and going, well, you know, for Upland, this is really good news. It's really great. And my hat was off to him. Like I was like, you could look through your own self-disappointment and see the potential that this has for Upland and how good it could be. And I wish sometimes that we all could do that a bit more, and me included. Like I'm first to whinge and bitch when something doesn't go my way, so I certainly get it. But yeah, that's my point. It's not that I want to bag or annoy anybody. It's just that this awesome news is being overshadowed by some negativity, which is the bit I don't like.
Absolutely. All right, I think we'll leave it at that. And a reminder that if you're in a time zone that fits in with the Thursday night live streaming schedule of starting at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and you'd like to get yourself involved, the link to the weekly podcast is always dropped in the NBA server about 15 minutes before the show starts. That invitation extends to any of the channel's podcast productions. Like I said, I've got a bunch of interviews set up planned for. So if you want to get involved with anything like that, then send me, Ben68, a DM, or get yourself in the NBA server, which is linked in the description. Don't forget to check out Wanderer 1976 Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories MetaVenture to spruce up your Upland properties with some really awesome virtual goods. I actually, when I was over there picking up the ones to give away, I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff I hadn't seen that he had available. I grabbed some for myself, for my personal properties. I also grabbed a swag to put together as a package in the big end of year prize giveaways that we do as well. So yeah, go and check it out. Good stuff over there. Links for that and everything else that we've covered in the show, of course, in the description. All the best for the week ahead, and we shall catch you later.